A forecast that changes each and every day, plus the reasons why you shouldn't believe every snowfall map you see. A bomb cyclone will bring heavy rain to parts of the west coast. All that and more next at the Weather Farm. Hello for your Wednesday. Welcome to the Weather Farm. I'm meteorologist Christopher Hale, and here's your forecast and why we have some concerns on those snowfall maps you may be seeing around social media. On our Wednesday morning, we have an area of low pressure across southern Manitoba that is bringing blizzard-like conditions to the western part of Manitoba, where they will expect 6 to 10 inches of snowfall during our day on Wednesday. We're even seeing snow across parts of the Dakotas into Minnesota, while off our west coast, off this map, is an area of low pressure at 942 millibars. It is what we call a Bombogenesis, a bomb cyclone, because what that means is that the pressure of that mid-level cyclone has dropped more than 24 millibars in a 24-hour period. Just this time yesterday, that system was around a 980 millibar low. It has dropped to 940 millibar low, and so that is definitely a bomb cyclone in its classic definition. And thinking of that counterclockwise motion of the system offshore, as it comes back around, it's pulling that moisture off of the Pacific Ocean and bringing it onshore. And that's why we are seeing rainfall estimates 4, 8, 10 plus inches along the coast. And of course, in those mountainous areas, we are seeing heavy snow. We're also monitoring the remnants of what was Tropical Storm Sierra as they move through Florida on our Wednesday. As we look at our Thursday, that area of low pressure over Manitoba has now moved its way into the Great Lakes. And this is another reason we see the dark blues and people think that that's heavy amounts of snowfall falling. It could be, but it's one of the things I want you to be careful about as we look at this map. And we'll talk about it later. But for now, again, our focus on Thursday is going to be out in California and Oregon, where we continue to see moisture streaming onshore. And behind this system is yet another atmospheric river that is waiting to make its way onshore for this upcoming weekend. The weather that moved across the Great Lakes and brought rain on our Wednesday is now moved off the coast of Pennsylvania, and it too is now bringing moisture off of the Atlantic and onto shore through Pennsylvania and New York. It's spreading snow where the cold air has worked its way in, because again, we see this 540 line right here. So we have plenty of cold air here across the Ohio Valley into the northeast, which does support snow. So let's look at our precip amounts. This takes us through Thursday morning. So this is Wednesday during the day, Thursday night. So we see the heaviest precip here across Manitoba. This is all falling as snow across the Dakotas into Minnesota, and even across the UP and northern parts of Michigan. This is likely falling as either heavy, wet snow or a mix of rain and snow. The remnants of Sierra are bringing moisture across parts of Alabama and Florida. And again, out west, as we've mentioned, several inches of rain. Some areas could exceed, again, 15 inches of rain, over 80 inches of snow in those higher mountainous elevations. So let's put our maps into motion. We're going to look at our upper level pattern for our Wednesday. When you see that area of low pressure, it's going to start diving down into the Great Lakes as we make our way into our Thursday. And it is digging a little bit deeper. So if you've been watching us all week and you've seen our videos, we thought it wasn't going to dig as far deep as it is, but it is now. The models are taking it even a little bit further deep. And as it moves towards the East Coast, it is going to intensify and dig even further deep and wrap itself up and produce a pretty significant storm for the East Coast this coming weekend. Across the plains, we have ridging coming back into play. Not as amplified as we've seen in recent weeks, but still some ridging. Just going to bring some calm, dry weather to the Central Plains. And yet, as we begin next week, another system continues to make its way onshore. And with those couple rotating systems out on the coast, the one that's hitting on Wednesday, the one that will hit on Friday, we think that there might be a piece of that energy that makes its way onto shore and disassociates from that system and could bring an area of unsettled weather across the northern plains by midweek. It's something we're definitely going to watch, but you do see a more zonal flow of the air mass for next week as we make our way to the Thanksgiving holiday. And this particular model wants to hint at some kind of system making its way down on the day after Thanksgiving, on that Friday. Where it will develop, it is still 10 days out, so it is too early to determine the exact track of that particular system, but it is something we will be monitoring here at the Weather Farm. As we begin our Wednesday, we see that area of low pressure making its way into the Great Lakes area. It's going to kind of retrograde a little bit back, pulling in that moisture off of Lake Michigan as it dives its way into the Ohio Valley. What it's going to do is then it's going to transfer its energy to that low that's developing off the coast of Pennsylvania and New York, and it's going to bring snow to the mountainous regions of Pennsylvania and New York and rain along the coast. At the same time, we are continuing to monitor that bomb cyclone as it makes a piece of it makes its way onto shore through the mountains of Idaho into Montana. It's going to skirt along the Canadian border over the weekend, and most of the United States from the Rockies east are going to be pretty dry, pretty calm. We see the red lines starting to form, an indication that we're going to see some moderating temperatures from the cold that we've seen. But as we move into our Thanksgiving holiday, we see another area of low pressure ejecting up into the northern plains. And then for our Wednesday, we start to see another low developing down here in the Four Corners region. That's going to eject out across Oklahoma into Arkansas as we move toward our Thanksgiving. And this particular model wants to take it along the Ohio River. Where this exactly sets up, again, this is 8 days out, still to be determined. But it is something that we're going to be monitoring, especially for next Wednesday, which is going to be one of the busiest travel days. And so this snowfall map takes us, again, up until our Saturday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Here's the snow that we talked about on Wednesday, several inches across parts of Manitoba, across the Dakotas, into northwestern Minnesota. The snow that falls on Thursday is going to be confined to the upper parts of Michigan, down along Lake Michigan, through Indiana, into eastern Kentucky, and southwestern Ohio. And then Thursday into Friday, we're going to see that snow move further east across the mountains of West Virginia into Pennsylvania, and then New York, and then upper New England. At the same time, with the bomb cyclone continuing to spin moisture onto the west coast, this is where parts of California, into Oregon, the Cascades, we're going to see several feet of snow. Again, these yellows indicate at least 80 inches of snow falling. And so we're going to look here in the Northeast at a more detailed map of our snowfall, again, through Saturday. Again, we're going to see heaviest amounts across parts of New York and Pennsylvania in those mountainous regions, reaching down into West Virginia. Don't get so caught up on the exact numbers, because this is one particular model run at one particular time. Same thing as we make our way to the Midwest. Here's Wednesday snow, 4 to 8 inches across the Dakotas, and here's the Thursday snow across Michigan. Again, I caution about this area right up here. I just don't think it's going to be that snowy where we're going to see 8, 10 inches plus. It is a possibility, but it's something we will continue to monitor. Where I do have a little bit more confidence is out here along the west, where we will see, again, those significant mountain snows. Again, some areas reaching 80 to 100 inches of snow. Across the Canadian border, we will continue to see 2 to 4 inches through our Saturday. But here's the map I want you to pay attention to the most. This is the snow depth map as of Saturday night at 7 p.m. So again, across the Great Lakes where we saw those high amounts, especially here in northern Michigan, of 8+ inches of snow forecasted, by Saturday night, we don't have anything really on the ground. Same thing across Illinois, Indiana, into Kentucky. Where we do see snow depth remaining is going to be in those mountainous areas of Pennsylvania, in northeastern Pennsylvania, and in northern New York, as well as out west across the mountains of Idaho, into Yellowstone, and across the Sierras and Cascades along the west coast. We also see significant snowpack building, which is a great sign and an indicator of something changing as we move towards December across parts of the prairies of Canada. But this is another reason that I'm a little skeptical about the snowfall, because we like to think, oh, the map shows 3-4 inches of snow. We're going to see that when we wake up on our Thursday or Friday morning. That will likely not be the case because the ground temperatures, and most of the temperatures in that fact across most of the United States, have been so warm over the last several weeks that the ground temperature is several degrees warmer for this time of year than it normally is. So as that snow falls, it's going to encounter that warmer pavement temperature, that warmer ground. It's going to have a hard time sticking and accumulating. Now, in some of the snow bursts and some of the snow cells that we see, yes, the snow rate will be greater than the amount that will be melting. And so, yes, we will see some grassy accumulations. We will see some snow piling up in some places, but it's not going to be that widespread event that a lot of maps are showing across our area. What they're showing you is the total snowfall map, and maybe even a snowfall map on a 10-to-1 ratio or some other ratio. But I like to look at this time of year at a snow depth, because this is what I'm going to see outside my window when I get up on Friday morning and I see how much snow has fallen. So I want to look at our weather map because this is something I've been watching and keeping my eye on. Here is the Great Lakes area. This is our weather starting on Wednesday. So again, overnight Wednesday, we're going to see an area of precipitation move across Illinois and Indiana. That's associated with that secondary cold front that's going to bring the colder air into play as we move toward the evening on Wednesday. It will also generate a few extra snow showers and rain showers across northern Michigan. As that area continues to wrap counterclockwise around the low, we could see some snow showers across Indiana and Illinois early on our Thursday. But it's in the afternoon when the main energy comes from the northwest across Indiana into Ohio and Kentucky. So this is what I'm concerned about. As we see South Bend, parts of northern Indiana, we see them snow on Thursday afternoon, but they're already changing over to rain. So what this is telling me is that there is some warm air that is working its way into the system as that low continues to spin in a counterclockwise motion. And that is my concern about the snowfall maps and even this particular model that does want to bring snow in the tune of 1 to 2 inches around most of northern Indiana on our Thursday, because I am concerned, again, that warm air will work its way into the system, turn that snow over to maybe more of a mix of rain and snow, which obviously will cut down on our snowfall totals. So it is something we're going to continue to monitor here at the Weather Farm. And another reason I want to be careful is on our Wednesday, we're going to see temperatures across the Great Lakes Valley, generally in the 40s and 50s. Where they've had the snowfall, we're going to see temperatures in the teens and 20s. We're going to see the real warmer air suppressed down closer to the coast, where we'll see 60s and 70s. But even the Northeast is going to be warm. On our Thursday, as I mentioned, here across Indiana, in the upper right quadrant of Indiana, temperatures will be 32, 33 degrees. But just 70 miles west, we could see temperatures 35 or 36. So that's one of the reasons I'm concerned about the snowfall that is moving through that area. And on our Friday, we'll see the colder temperatures confined to the mountain regions of West Virginia into Pennsylvania as that low continues to develop and spin off the coast of New York and Pennsylvania. But even here, we're going to see temperatures that are going to be marginal, 35 to 40 degrees for our highs. So where warm air makes its way in off of the ocean and brings that warm air back off the Atlantic into the Northeast, is it going to change that snow over to rain, or is the system going to play out as the models predict and keep that precipitation snow? And when we kind of see this, we're not going to have a significant deviation in our cold temperature. There's the cold temperature for Thursday, but we're only going to be a few degrees, 5 to 10 degrees below seasonal norms. This is the anomaly map. We see for the weekend, we see a warming trend building across the plains. But what we are starting to see here is signs where that snowpack is great. We're seeing that cold air. We're getting some temperature anomalies up here across the southern prairies of Canada, 20, 30, 40 degrees below their seasonal norms. And as we go through the Thanksgiving weekend, a chunk of that's going to move into the central plains. And as that system moves out of Texas through the Ohio Valley, where the cold air and the precipitation will marry up, could have an impact on the kind of weather we see across the eastern half of the United States for your Thanksgiving. So there are signs that the pattern is turning a little more active and a little more colder, and it's something we're definitely going to keep monitoring. As we move into our December, we do see our precipitation in the eastern half of the United States continuing to be above normal. Thank you for joining us here at the Weather Farm. We hope to see you again real soon. Stay tuned for the latest updates on this ever-changing forecast. If you'd like to see our forecast as the storm has progressed, please check out our videos here to the left. Also, click on the subscribe button, click on the bell notification so you can stay on top of the current conditions and the ever-changing forecast. Have a great day.